I just got done watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Let's head home, and I'll give it a review. Now that we are back at the Den of Geekery, let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Video games are famously difficult to adapt into films, especially live action, with very few franchises ever even getting off the ground. And Sonic the Hedgehog definitely got off on the wrong foot. I'm sorry you had to see that again. But ever since they decided to completely revamp the film in the final stages of post-production, we have been in love with this series. It is hard to find any reviews that are completely lambasting the films. Most of them seem to range from, it's okay, to these movies are amazing, and I fall into the latter category. After Sonic got a much-needed redesign, the first movie comes out, and we immediately fell in love with it. And Sonic 2 followed up with another great hit. Now, while not a lot of people talked about it, I watched the Knuckles spin-off show, and it was actually really good. It wasn't exactly high cinema, but it was fun, enjoyable, expanded on the character of Knuckles more, and kept the franchise in our minds until Sonic the Hedgehog 3 could come out. And when you think about it, the first movie came out in 2020, which means in 4 years, we've gotten 3 feature-length movies and a mini-series. That's a lot of content. And it's all been very enjoyable content. So enough gushing about the past. Let's talk about the here and now. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was a fantastic follow-up to what we've already been given. Is this movie going to win Picture of the Year? No, but no one is going to a Sonic the Hedgehog movie for Oscar bait. The story heightens the stakes, they found new and fresh ways to develop the characters and their relationships, and most importantly, for a third movie of a trilogy, they kept it from getting stale. A lot of times with franchises like this, the third movie will take one of your characters and reverse some of their character development so they have room to grow. And I think the structure of how characters are introduced is the biggest reason why Sonic keeps from getting stale or feeling like he never changes or grows. The character arcs are less about our main characters, our heroes, our protagonists, and they more become about our villains. The first movie introduces us to Sonic and he learns what it means to be part of a family. The second movie, he gets a little bit more character development about growing up and learning how to take more responsibility, but also learning how to pass on the love he has received from his family on to Knuckles. And this third film gives Sonic a lesson to learn that does not negate the lessons he has already learned, but rather builds on them and is a lesson he can pass on to Shadow. And I don't think that's necessarily a spoiler because I'm not going to tell you whether Shadow decides to listen to Sonic or not. Now, let's address the mad scientist in the room here. Jim Carrey as both Dr. Robotniks. When they showed in the first trailer that Jim Carrey would be playing Gerard Robotnik, the grandfather of Ivo Robotnik, I made this skit. Okay, we have a lot of momentum going into Sonic 3. The first 2 movies in the Knuckles spin-off series did amazingly. So what was the key to our success? Telling fun, action-packed stories with a lot of humor and even more heart? That's part of it. But no. Telling an original story that also stays true to the vibes of the source material? Again, that's a part of it. But no. I got it. Starting with rock-bottom expectations with ugly Sonic and then delivering an amazing final product. That was more of just a happy accident, but no. It's Jim Carrey. You're right. People love Jim Carrey, and it's classic 90s Jim Carrey. The Mask, Ace Ventura, wacky, zany, funny. So, how do we capitalize on that? Give him more screen time, I guess? Better. 2 Jim Carreys. Oh my, you're my hero. I know. As you could tell from that skit, I was concerned that by introducing another Robotnik that is also Jim Carrey, it was just going to feel like more of the same. But Jim Carrey does such a good job of making 2 very distinct Dr. Robotniks in this movie that it's just more delicious Jim Carrey humor. It's so crazy to see. It's like they're both Jim Carrey. You can see the Jim Carreyness of them both. but they're so different from each other. And it just shows that even in wacky comedy, Jim Carrey has a crazy range. His humor and his acting falls on this infinite spectrum of character. It's also abundantly clear that even though this is a sequel, even though he's probably getting more money because he's playing two characters, this movie is not just a paycheck for Jim Carrey. He loves playing these characters, and it has been a very long time since we have gotten a wacky, cartoonish character that Jim Carrey has loved playing. Honestly, I feel we haven't had that since The Grinch, which was like 23 years ago. I love Jim Carrey. The Mask is my favorite movie, and these three Sonic the Hedgehog movies have given me the opportunity to see that Jim Carrey that I have missed for decades. It is so crazy to me that Jim Carrey went on this existential journey for like 15 years trying to figure out who he was as an actor, and it took Sonic the Hedgehog to bring him back to the point where when he was asked what characters he would like to play again, he said the Grinch and the Mask. In the past, Jim Carrey has famously hated sequels, and when you see the sequels he's made, you can see why. With the exception of like Ace Ventura, these are the only sequels he has done where the character just keeps getting better and better. This movie balances wacky, zany, cartoonish humor with action and drama so well. And I think the biggest part of that is there's not a lot of drama. There's a couple very impactful moments in the movie, but the rest of it is fun action sequences, creative visuals, and a lot of really good humor, not just cheap meme humor. Yeah, and I know there's gonna be people out there that disagree with me on this and say, these movies suck, they're awful, they're nothing but a bunch of pop culture references and Jim Carrey acting silly. Yeah, because it's fun. People who have a sense of humor and don't look for freaking high cinema every time they sit down in a theater actually enjoy that kind of thing. These movies are exactly what they're supposed to be. Fun, action-oriented, family-friendly movies about brightly colored talking animal people. To these people, if you are going into the third Sonic the Hedgehog movie, hoping to watch something that is the caliber of The Godfather or Pulp Fiction or whatever poster was in your film bro friend's dorm room when you were in college, you're not gonna get it. And guess what? You don't deserve it. But if you are looking to go to the movies, to escape your life for a couple hours, sit down, have a good time, and watch something that was clearly crafted with a lot of tender loving care by both everyone in front of and behind the cameras, this is the movie you need to see this weekend because it is fantastic. Also, one more thing, stay to the end of the credits. Like, most of the theater left as soon as the credits started rolling. There is a mid-credit scene and an end-credit scene. So, you don't want to miss it. It's great. Something tells me there's going to be more of these movies, just saying.